I wasn't expecting Caitlin Clark to be coming back this early, but ESPN put out an article earlier this week kind of summing up. They was predicting Caitlin Clark to be back by August the 12th. Now, this just came out of the pipeline of the Indiana Fever front office. Let's pull it up right now.
The update every basketball fan has been waiting for just flipped the temperature of the entire season. Caitlin Clark is inching toward the floor again, and the ripple you feel is not hype. It's the reality of what happens when one player bends ratings, ticket sales, and game plans in the same breath. Before we jump in, do me a quick favor if you enjoy deep, no-fluff breakdowns like this. Tap subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one. All right? Let's talk about the return that could shake the league. But to understand why this moment matters, we need to start with the rumor drumbeat that set it all in motion. The first sign was tiny, almost throwaway, and it's still detonated across timelines. A 6-second clip from Shootaround. A caution.
Caitlin effing Clark is a game-time decision. She is a game-time decision. She is, as far as I'm aware, someone said she's listed as questionable on the app. Someone said on the app she's listed as questionable. But she is a game-time decision, apparently. Look, if we're going to be honest, no, she's a game-time decision.
Just line from the trainer. That single word fans cling to when they want hope without lies. Progressing. Not cleared, not shut down, progressing. Soft tissue injuries are ruthless teachers. They reward patience, punish ego, and expose teams that want headlines more than health. You can feel the tension in how the staff speaks. They will not play date bingo. They will not promise a night just to walk it back. Instead, they lay out a sequence. Clean movement without pain, controlled speed on air, light contact, and full speed reads that mimic the last 90 seconds of a playoff game. Only after that do you touch minutes. Outside, predictors set countdown clocks and argue over leaked whispers. Inside, the only timepiece that matters is how the body responds on the third cut of the third drill. That is the quiet truth beneath the noise. Every box she checks tilts the scouting report for opponents who would love certainty and cannot have it. That is leverage you cannot buy in August. While rumor season did lapse, Indiana invested in something sturdier.
Caitlin Clark's agent, Aaron Kane, said Caitlin will never be paid what she's worth by the WNBA because it is quite literally impossible for them to pay her what she's worth. An economist at Indiana University Columbus calculated that Caitlin Clark was responsible for $36 million in economic impact to the city of Indianapolis, and that she is responsible for 27% of the entire WNBA's economic activity for this past season, including attendance, merchandise sales, and television. One player in a big league responsible for 27% of the economic
Habits that travel to any arena on any night. When your centerpiece sits, your scheme gets honest. You either have a system or a slogan. Indiana chose the system. Kelsey Mitchell became a metronome. She did not just shoot more. She managed pace, toggled gears, and fed teammates where they prefer to eat. Wings lifted and sank with purpose, so closeouts turned into decisions, not gambles. Bigs sealed deeper and rolled harder, so passes became dunks instead of contested flips. The spacing tightened, timing sharpened. On that 9-play night against Chicago, the game turned into a clinic in discipline. Paint touches first. Invert the floor to create cross matches. Defend without fouling, then finish possessions with two hands on the ball. There were no hero auditions, no heat check tantrums. Just grown basketball where the first good shot beats the flashy one. That stretch did not crown a new star. It proved the team understands how to win when the path is narrow and ugly. That proof lives on film. Coaches can pause it and say, "This is us." Players can feel it when the fourth quarter tightens and the building gets loud. Then the sport did what it always does in August. It tested the margin you thought you had. 1 quarter, 2 injuries, and a guard room on fire. Sidney Colson's knee, Ari McDonald's foot. That is not a rotation tweak. That is the back.
You can't tell me that the Caitlin Clark effect isn't real. You knew when news broke yesterday that Caitlin Clark was going to be out for a few weeks, that ticket prices were going to go down, but I never expected them to go down 71% for the rivalry game. I can't help but laugh because the first thing that I thought of when I saw this was a quote that we got last year from Angel Reese when she was talking about how people don't just watch the WNBA for Caitlyn. They watch it because of her as well. Hate to say it, those numbers don't lie. They're watching because of Caitlyn.
Bone of your ball handling evaporating. Indiana's response was immediate and practical. A hardship call to Odyssey Sims. Then real minutes with real stakes. Sims' value is economy. 2 dribbles where others take 5. Angles over adrenaline when legs get heavy. A willingness to put 2 feet in the paint and force help even when the jumper stays quiet. She is a chaos cat. She stops opponent runs by turning broken possessions into simple reads and free throws. You felt her presence most in the moments that do not make highlights. End a quarter, 2 for 1 clock, down 3. The game begging for a bad pull-up. She drives a seam, hits the short roll, and turns a near turnover into points. That is why veterans exist in this league. Not to trend, to tilt. The belief that Indiana could carry weight without Clark did not appear from nowhere. It came stamped in silver. July 1st, Commissioner's Cup Final. No Clark, no safety net. The Fever throttled Minnesota below 60 by stacking connected defensive choices. Nail help early, recover on balance, force floaters, not layups, close with high hands.
I think we're on the verge of seeing Caitlin Clark become bigger than the sport herself. WNBA viewing attendance is up over 200% since she joined the league. The Indiana Fever actually are outselling the Pacers, averaging over 17,000 attendance per game. That's crazy. $1 billion is the estimated increase in WNBA valuation based on Caitlin Clark alone. $1 billion. Now, this is up about 25% from the total economic value. Crazy to see these kind of numbers. I think we're on the verge of seeing something like MJ Tiger, where the average consumer goes to the TV because of somebody.
So swing passes float, then punish every overplay with slips and baseline cuts. Offensively, they refused the first average look and hunted the next great one. That film is a coaching staff's favorite kind. It travels and it teaches. You can freeze the fourth quarter, point to 5 connected bodies moving on a string, and everyone in the locker room nods because they remember how it felt. A trophy is nice for the shelf. A blueprint is priceless for the season. The Cup win said 2 things. 1, the Fever can win with defense when the shooting misfires. 2, their late-game possessions can look like a veteran playoff team even in July. That's not illusion. It's identity. Now imagine reinstalling a gravity engine into that identity. The geometry changes immediately. Clark is not simply a scorer. She changes the choices a defense makes before the ball crosses half court. 1 extra step of help to respect her pull-up blows open Aaliyah Boston's catch window. A shaded tagger turns a routine short roll into a 2-on-1. A soft ghost screen sows a split second of confusion.
Caitlin Clark may be back, and that will leave a run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games left to get ready for the playoff run. Right now, you're looking at the Atlanta Dream, or you're looking at the Phoenix Mercury, which should be very interesting considering all the plots around that.
That frees a cutter without a single dribble. That's geometry, not hype. With her on the floor, pace stops being raw speed and becomes timing. Advanced passes land before matchups settle. Drag screens appear in transition so defenders communicate on the fly. After timeouts, you don't fish for miracles. You call 1 action, make 1 read, and get a whistle or a layup. Pair that with Sims anchoring non-clock minutes and Mitchell staying in rhythm beside her, and you go from patched to layered. Paired guards let you attack the weakest defender instead of headbutting the strongest one. The compounding effect is simple. Fewer empty trips, cleaner late clocks, more free throws when the jumper goes cold. That is how you win the month that decides seeding. And the month ahead does not play fair. It never does. August schedules are unapologetic. 3 games in 5 nights. Cross-country legs. Opponents who study your pet actions twice in the same week. A 2-game swing can steal home court or hand it away before you unpack your bag. Indiana's path is math. Avoid losing streaks. Bank wins against tired legs. Own the last 5 minutes with clean after-timeout looks and 0 wasted possessions. Think in 3-game pockets. Go 2-1
Caitlin
each
Clark
time, and the
continues to crush the viewership department and bring in those big ratings. This is from ESPN PR. This past Sunday, ABC aired another of its most watched WNBA games ever with the Indiana Fever's win over the Dallas Wings. It averaged 2.1 million viewers and peaked at 2.5 million viewers. WNBA on ESPN is up 7% from last season, man. What? The numbers are crazy. The numbers are crazy. She's a draw.
It opens. That is why timing a return is a chess move, not a wish. Bring her back when the body agrees and keep the habits built without her. The teams that merge those truths do not cling to the middle. They climb. If Indiana keeps the blueprint and adds the gravity, the standings will feel it in a weekend. Of course, standings only tell half the story. The rest lives in the spotlight that follows her everywhere. Clark said the quiet part with honesty. She feels the responsibility. When she plays, audiences widen. When she sits, they narrow. That is not vanity. That is market gravity attaching to a singular player. Rehab becomes more than hamstrings and groins. It becomes mental triage. Trust your work. Ignore external clocks. Build towards sustainable excellence, not a single night of fireworks. Some days the first step snaps and everything sings. Some days the body says not yet.
You can argue this intelligently. No one person means as much to their league, whatever league it is, as Caitlin Clark means to the WNBA. And no person has done more for their league than what Caitlin Clark has done for the WNBA. Patrick Mahomes does not mean that much to the NFL. Steph Curry does not mean that much to the NBA. LeBron James does not mean that much to the NBA. She is a monster. When we look back on this, Caitlin Clark will be for the WNBA what Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were for
The room feels heavier. The only winning plan is a ramp that respects August legs and September goals. If you chase headlines, you pay in hesitation and soreness weeks later. If you chase health, you pay in impatient timelines today and cash it back in May. The Fever's message has been steady. We are building for the hardest minutes of the year, not the loudest ones. Meanwhile, the numbers outside the lines have made the effect impossible to ignore. You can see the surge even if you never open a box score. Teams move games to bigger buildings when Indiana lands in town. Resale markets pop when 22 is in the lineup graphic. National windows lean toward Fever nights because casuals choose those screens first. The league's overall growth is real, yet her presence accelerates it in measurable ways that help everyone get paid, from broadcast partners to the person scanning tickets at the gate. This is not about diminishing anyone else. It's about recognizing a rare catalyst. One player who flips the light switch for people who did not care yesterday and suddenly rearrange their
Fever Sky tickets dropped 71% on TickPick after Caitlin Clark injury. The get-in price for the Chicago Sky versus Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever game was $86. After Caitlin Clark's injury announcement is now down to $25. And you Angel Reese fangirls will still believe and think that Angel Reese is the reason why people are watching the WNBA.
Sunday. When a single athlete can nudge an ecosystem from hopeful to plannable, executives stop guessing and start budgeting. That leverage follows her back to the court where it still has to be justified the old-fashioned way, which is exactly why the supporting cast had to grow up fast. They did. Kelsey Mitchell's stewardship has been a clinic in adult possessions. Push when cross matches are live. Pull out when defenses are set and begging for a bad jumper. Relocate after the pass and trust the return. 8 assists on a threadbare night is not trivia. It signals trust that has been earned rep by rep. Aaliyah Boston has played like a sledgehammer with touch, sealing deeper, rolling into daylight, and turning contact into whistles or finishes. Sophie Cunningham brings edge and spacing. The extra dig, the sneaky box out, the quick swing that turns a decent look into a great one. Odyssey Sims slows chaos to a walking pace and wins it with angles. This is not a super team fronted by a superstar. It's a tough room that learned how to win boring.
Now,
And
if you're
boring-
wondering about Odyssey, she is a guard, 5'8". She's a veteran, 33 years old. This is interesting. She's been an all-star. She's also was 2019 All-WNBA. 2014 All-Rookie Team. She's had some good seasons in here, folks. No, she doesn't have a great history with the three-point shot. But if Caitlin Clark is coming back,
being active and playing 4 games and then not, and like not feeling the best, and then like frustrated of like how hard I worked in the off season, and then like all I do is rehab and like continue to do this process and just like trying to trust that the best I can. And obviously there's really frustrating days, and there's days where like it's a little bit easier and like you're very, very motivated and like you're close to the finish line of getting back and being back, and then like it's not like I have a training camp to like build up to like playing my first game again. It's like, no, like you're tossed into game 30, like go try to play well. Like it's hard. Like
Win stack. That is the spine you want when your best player returns. It lets her hunt advantages without carrying junk possessions on tired legs. With that backbone in place, the return plan writes itself. Simple. First, sharp always. Night 1 is a proof of concept exam. The opening shift should be a checklist with D. Advance pass to force a small onto a big. Reject a screen to test a straight line burst in a controlled lane. If the low man tags early, hit the short roll and make the next pass automatic. If the whistle comes, breathe at the stripe and let rhythm replace adrenaline. The minutes should track matchups, not a stopwatch. Start with short, purposeful stints that end on a make or a foul, so the body associates the shift with control, not fatigue. Early combinations with Sims keep tempo without funneling every touch through clock. Late, toggle into Mitchell-Clark actions that demand the weakest defender guard a problem. Shrink the menu, execute it clean. Make the defense wrong with reads, not heroics. That is how you ramp usage without taxing what is still healing. The discipline matters because the return clock is not about courage. It's about calculus.
Now, Caitlin Clark just helped deliver a major statement win. On Saturday, June 14, Caitlin Clark returned to the court for the Indiana Fever after missing 5 games due to a quad injury. The Indiana Fever handed the New York Liberty their first loss of the season, and Caitlin Clark was at the center of it. She made a return with force, leading the charge on both ends of the floor, and she came back in dominant fashion, putting up 32 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds. Just shy of a 30-point triple-double in a 102-88 win over the New York Liberty. Now, even NBA's own LeBron James took notice, posting the CC effect.
2.1 million average viewers to watch the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark, take on the Dallas Wings. ABC airs another of its most watched WNBA games ever. WNBA games ever. Ever. Ever, ever, forever, ever, forever, ever. ABC's 4th most watched WNBA game ever, more than 120 regular season and postseason games. More than 120 regular season and postseason games. This is more than most WNBA finals games, including last year.
Come back a week early and you can spend a month second-guessing every acceleration. Wait a week too long and you might trade away a seed you will regret when travel gets ugly. Indiana narrows that gap by shaping context. Stagger minutes to protect explosive reps. Feed Boston elbow touches to reduce the downhill collisions Clark has to absorb. Emphasize actions that tax reads more than legs. Package endgame sets into a handful of alignments that punish switches without requiring repeated burst attacks. Headlines never set the timetable. Clean movement does. When the body says yes on the 3rd cut of the 3rd drill, dot. The coaching staff can flip usage without flipping identity. That is the point. Keep what works, add what bends the court. Leave the rest. Because when games flip in May, it is rarely the highlight that did it. It is the micro edge you noticed in February. Everyone points at the 3-point line. The margins live elsewhere. Closeouts must be violent yet balanced, so the drive lane never opens behind an overeager hand. Kegs must be on time and off early, so the paint feels crowded without surrendering corner rhythm. After timeout possessions must produce a clean first look, not a bailout heave. Free throw math needs to tilt your way to stabilize offense on cold nights. Screening angles need to shave half steps off defenders, so passing windows look bigger than they are. These are the micro edges Clark's gravity magnifies. Help one step too early, and the corner gets paid. All of which sets the stage for the moment everyone wants to feel, not just see. The building hums differently before tip. Not just louder, sharper, like static in your chest. Warm-ups look routine, yet every made jumper sounds like a box quietly checked. First possession refuses theatrics. Touch, swing, drive and kick, layup. Second stint arrives sooner than expected. Pace rises. A ghost screen produces a bump, two defenders glance at each other, and a corner three drops without a contest. Mid-third, the defense finally sends early help and pays with a pocket pass that turns into a Boston and one. Late, you see the possession every coach wants on the road. One screen, one read, a pull-up that lands like a period at the end of a sentence you have heard before. When she checks out to a roar that sounds like relief and pret at the same time, the scoreboard will only tell part of the story. The season's balance has tilted again. That is belief turning into expectation. That is the race getting very real, very fast. The Fever did not wait for the season to save them. They found a backbone, absorbed the worst kind of injury news, and kept stacking film that proves they can win tough. Now comes the tilt. The return that adds points, adds pace, and most of all, adds gravity. If you're here for breakdowns that cut through the noise, I would love to have you in this community. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and drop your take in the comments. Does a healthy Caitlin Clark turn Indiana from a good story into a real problem in the bracket? Or do the growing pains last longer than the standings allow? I'm reading every reply. Let's talk hoops.